And again, we have those mentors who are on the front lines of knowing what is changing right now, and they're able to give that insight. We're then, after all of this is mapped out, we're going to do that fun period of proof of concept part, where we get to make, whether it's the concept art, other sorts of pre-visualization, whatever we need to do to make a really nice pitch package to be able to go out and then raise that follow-on funding. That's what brings me to the last step, which is that funding preparation. So we are pulling in our relationships in legal, in counsel, putting together those business plans. What kind of a situation is it? Are we going to be needing to bring on private equity? Are we going to go as a co-production? Are we looking for, is this a small budget? Do we want to do Kickstarter? You know, the sky's the limit, and there's a huge range, but you know, what does the project really need? So all of that is part of what these entrepreneurs who are going through the program will receive coaching and mentorship and guidance in. Next slide. Great, we'll just touch on these quickly, but these are some sort of sample. Maybe David actually wants to share on these. Okay.
I'll just show a couple of them.
Yeah.
So these are a couple of applicants that we're using as poster children to try to give an example, try to flush this out, because it is a unique thing. How many know Andrew? Anybody guys know Andrew? Andrew's one of our stars from the Big Island. Andrew is a marine biologist, originally from Australia, but has lived here most of his life, and one of the foremost authorities on marlin. And he happens to be also one of the conservationists on the island. He's one of only 2 on the island that are licensed to actually capture wild pigs and relocate them. And he had a little clip on YouTube that someone called the Pig Whisperer. Discovery Channel saw it, called him and said, hey, would you host a show? He hosted a show for them called Hogs Gone Wild, first on the nuisance that the wild pigs have become, and he would go and tackle them and move them, and it was all, exciting. And then they brought him to the mainland where he was doing that for the others. Then he got another show that he was star on, and that had 1.75 million viewers. And for a reality show on cable, that's pretty darn good, and doesn't cost a lot of money to produce these things. Then he was also on Beast Tracker, he went beyond pigs and got into crocs and all that stuff. So here's this guy who has helped writing the material. He's the host. He's got all the legitimacy. He's a PhD. He's an exciting guy. He's really fun in front of the camera. But what happens is when a television show is canceled, it's like canceled. Like you literally get a call, probably an email, and says it's over. And all the stuff that he's poured into this stuff, into the show, he doesn't own. He doesn't own any of the intellectual property. He's a hired gun. And believe it or not, these guys do not make that much money. And it's all over. So his whole livelihood in that category just ends abruptly. And they cancel shows for many, many different reasons. So we want to get behind a person like Andrew. And he's applied. No one's been accepted yet. But he's the kind of guy we want to get behind. And say, let's help you create your own show. He's got his own vision for his own show that he can own as a Hawaii-based company. So that's one example. Maybe jump to Michael Lee now since we're keep going. So here's Michael. Michael's cameraman. He was on Mount St. Helens when the volcano blew up. He was on it filming. He was a cameraman. And I don't know if some of you remember, but there was 4 film crew on that volcano when it blew up. And he was one of those, and for 4 days they were up there. Almost died, but like a good soldier, he kept running film, and it launched his career. And from that time, he was gone on to be one of the foremost authorities as a cinematographer for filming active volcanoes. He's produced for Discovery Channel for many years. So what would happen if, and his dream is to make an IMAX movie on Kilauea, the most active volcano in the world. It's an amazing business model. A lot of people overlook it. And I'm talking about the IMAX, 42-minute IMAX movie, like in the educational ones, not taking Iron Man and blowing it up to IMAX and putting it out there. I'm talking about the ones that are affiliated with various technology innovation centers, educational centers, and so on. But there's 697 screens in 52 countries that fit within that. There's all kinds of grants and opportunities for IMAX films. But typically what happens is a company from Toronto, IMAX IMAX company would come and say they wanted to make a movie on Kilauea. So they would come, they'd bring most of their own crew. They might hire 2 or 3 crew members here, maybe a few more. They would film, they do all that. They go away, they own the intellectual property, and they make all the revenue from that. We want Michael, who's a Hawaii resident, moved his production company here. We want him to own the intellectual property. And we want a Hawaii-based company to get those revenues and stimulate the economy and so on. And we want him to use friends from the islands to actually film and support him. So those are 2 models to give you an idea. So this isn't just about tradition, like big feature films and stuff. This is about a wide variety. So maybe just the resources, what they're going to get from it financially.
Okay, this is a big scary chart, but we're only going to look at part of it. Yes, that part. So the real strengths of this program are going to certainly be the mentorship, the model of that pipeline that we walked through, and as well, of course, there is seed funding. Usually accelerator programs, part of the draw is the seed funding. So from this fund that we have raised, we have 3 cycles where we will have 6 companies accepted, and each company will receive $50,000 in seed financing. Now that $50,000 will be in exchange for a 10% equity stake in that company at the IP level. So that fund will own 10% of that company. That is somewhat standard in accelerator models. Those $50,000 will be used for the financing of those development processes. And something that's great with our accelerator program is because of David's relationships, because of all of these mentors who are coming to the table and all of these consultants, we're able to get a lot of these processes at group rates and discounted rates. So these guys are really getting so much for the money. That goes in, that is invested, and then it will get paid back to the fund as that company begins to see income on their products. And we've been saying kind of products. Something that's important to note is because these are transmedia franchises, we are requiring each of our entrepreneurs, each of our startup companies to not only have a main lead product that they're leading out with, but at least 2 supporting revenue streams. So if it is a movie, then how else can you tell that story? And it's specific to what that actual story idea or story world is. So not every television show is going to come with an app. Maybe that television show actually then turns into a webisode series to tell the next part of the story, like David shared before. Maybe it starts out as a video game, and that video game spins out into a graphic novel series. It's going to make sense for whatever that story is. But we're really looking at commercial viability and sustainability for these companies, and we've found through our past experiences that betting on one horse only is not the best way to go. You really want to round out that portfolio for a healthy business model. Anything to add to that? Okay.
That's essentially it. So this will be, the cool thing is this is happening right here, below Costco, and that's where the main hub will be, and the big island is, we're having the other islands commute here. It's kind of cool. There'll be also sessions that will be virtual as well. We'll have some satellite hubs. We don't know who these people are yet. We're in the middle of the application process, right in the middle of it. The application process is about 10 more days. Everything is online at globalvirtualstudio.com. There's 2 phases of the application, so if you do want to apply, we'd encourage you to begin immediately, because the second phase is quite intense. Involves a video interview and really unpacking your vision. Again, as Nikki pointed out, this is not an incubator. In other words, this is not like you rolled out of bed and you had a great dream last night. Like, I'm going to turn that into a franchise. We're looking for people that have been developing stuff for a while, that have experience in categories, that are needing that extra boost to kind of get over it. So you might not be ready this cycle, but next year we're going to do it again. So maybe you'll be ready by then. And we do have some partners that are for some feeder organizations that are feeding us applicants. One is a partnership with Creative Industries, Grow Hawaii, and Hawaii International Film Festival called the Creative Lab. And you can get information on them. If you email us on our website, we can introduce them to you. So they're the ones that are more of an incubator. Well, they'll take your concept and work with you, get into their program, help you flush it out so you can then apply to the accelerator. Now, again, we're getting you to the starting blocks, and maybe I can just unpack that a little bit. So by the time you go through our accelerator program, you are ready for to go out into the real world and raise your significant funding. So this is at the startup stage, okay? So you're not going to have a completed series coming out of the accelerator, but you will have a completed package and the direction and hopefully the relationships, if you don't burn bridges with our advisors, to be able to go out and know where to go to do your pitches and how to go about it. So as Nikki pointed out, your whole pitch package might be crowdfunding through Kickstarter. We did a crowdfunding campaign from here on one of our projects. We raised $90,000, and so that might be helping you get that ready to go crowdfunding, or it might be getting you for a whole nother kind of pitch to studios or some kind of hybrid model. And that's the kind of thing we'll walk through with the startup companies on helping them position them for success. So we're currently funded and teed up for 3 cycles, so for 3 years. And it will be an intensive 6-month program starting in about a month. And that's when we walk you through that whole pipeline that Nikki unpacked. And then the second 6 months, you're out in the real world, pitching your brains out, and we're kind of the guys behind the curtain, helping nudge and open doors where we can, etc. And then we'll do it all again the next year. So it's kind of a big grand experiment, and maybe we can have one more of these this time next year. You guys can ask us how it went.
Yeah.
But we're all kind of
that'd be great.
Building the airplane as we fly. But is there any questions that any of us can answer for you guys related to this?
Yeah. How long is the incubator? Usually it's for a session, number of weeks or a period of time once you're in the program?
Well, our accelerator program?
Accelerator, yes, sorry.
Yeah, so the accelerator program is 6 months. 6
6
months
months.
intensive, followed by the 6 months of your fundraising period.
Okay, and then for that 6 months, the teams are actually here and in your facility.
Yeah.
Kind of going,
Yeah, so we're recommending people come in as teams because people are complement each other. So somebody maybe is really good at the creative or technology side, but they're not super great at the business side. So we're asking people to come in with teams up to 3, so they can tag team. We'll have events and hands-on experiences right here at the facility. And then we'll also be doing a lot of virtual presentations. There's also a lot of coaching that happens that's very specific to that group of entrepreneurs, which can happen through phone calls and emails and that kind of thing. And in some cases, we'll need to send some of these guys to other places to help them package and polish and so on. But the home is here at the new Honua Studios.
Yeah, let me just add to that the entrepreneurial teams have co-work space available to them, so if they want, they can stop in and work there every day. We have the great internet that Time Warner's going to provide, and
Hopefully.
and a great synergistic environment. There will be other local creative companies there working, and so the sparks will fly. I think that if someone is already living here locally, why wouldn't you want to be working there, right?
So you're doing this 3 times. So the funding is for these 3 cycles of 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all been a big side. Right now, what we are hoping and thinking, if this all kind of works, is that we would probably go private eventually. And right now, like I said, it's a public-private thing. And this is how a lot of these accelerators have started initially. It's been public-private, and then they eventually go private. So we'll see. See if it works.
So I just had a meeting with the new director for West Hawaii Community College in Kealakekua.
Oh, yeah?
He's from Australia, but his thing is, communications, online learning. and we're building the new campus,
Yeah.
Palamanui.
Yeah.
And what we talked about was something like this in education.
Oh yeah.
So, if we can have a discussion with him, our chancellor from UH Hilo and the Hilo Community College in Manoa, the foundations are all looking at Palamanui because of its location.
Yeah.
And because it's brand new, and because we can create a whole different type of education. So, I
Let's
think
hook it up.
let's do that. Let's do that. And we know that there's a lot of foundations,
Yep. And
here that could,
across
be
the
part
street
of.
from that university, we have, I don't know if you saw that Forbes issue of who's
Yes,
living at
yes,
Coquille.
yes.
It's like all the high-tech
yes.
startup millionaire guys and stuff.
Right.
It's time to
So-
call in some favors.
So Charles Schwab bought the 1,000 acres where Palamanui is
Yeah.
going, and this is where we created a whole town center, a whole, we could be off the grid. It could be an eco
I've seen the
university.
plans. It's
So
awesome.
this is like, if we could get together and just create that at Palamanui, that would be really exciting.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Rolf,
I don't know if this has already been addressed yet, but what physically would an applicant really need to get started with the accelerator program?
I'm sorry?
Like, what things physically would an applicant need to get started with the accelerator program?
Well, again, we're trying not to have just ideas. So you'd be asked, if you go to the website, you'll see kind of the breakdown of what we're asking for. But it would be, what is your current market plans? Like, who are you targeting? One of the things that we're Hawaii centric, but we are, like this thing says, created in Hawaii but made for the world. We want things to be scalable so that it can compete and get out there. And that's the good thing about staying in the digital world. You can do that. So it's got to be, what's the plan? If it is a TV series or a movie or a game, what is the actual script that you have? What is, as much as you can bring to the table will help us. And as I mentioned before, if you're not ready yet, don't panic. There's some incubators like Creative Lab. They can help you get tuned up, and we'll be around next year.
And it's very simple to go online and just register. You're not committing to anything. And it will let you see what all of the requirements are before you even start to apply.
There's FAQs on there that are pretty flushed out that will, I think, help explain a lot. Anything else we can be helpful with?
Yeah, so you talked about it being a global virtual studio. What is it that you've built or are building here? What kind of capabilities are going to exist?
What you mean, like what are the physical
yeah.
technology pieces
Yeah.
and stuff? We've helped build our own cloud. We have, again, our kind of model is trying to tap into a lot of infrastructure that's other people already have, but at the physical facility where the accelerator is going to go, there's about 12,000 square feet altogether. One part is for production, for filming stuff. One is post-production, visual effects. So most of the equipment for Big Island gigs is, cameras and grip truck and, that kind of stuff. But the GVS assets is mostly brain assets, but softwares, stuff like Maya, 4D, After Effects, Avid, Premiere, those kinds of is a lot of the tools that we use.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I think we should be gunning for is to create a giga hub on this island, which essentially would be a huge boost for everyone in almost every industry. And
What is that?
it's essentially like a brain that soups up your capability with the internet. And so for not for kids to watch games faster or whatever, but for industry stuff to be able to move information very quickly back and forth. And so that's one thing I've been pitching the state guys, because that would help no matter what industry you're in, and even like the guys up Mauna Kea in terms of what they're doing and the amounts of information that they are sending and so on. I was in South Africa recently, and their internet there is in Cape Town, and their film industry is starting to boom, but their internet is so poor that it's just like slowing everything down. And you know, if we're leading in that kind of stuff, more and more people can come home or can transplant and function.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you for listening.
Thank you very much for coming. Please feel free to stick around. We have some poo-poos out there, and you can ask questions one-on-one if you want.